What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the ready to run version of the Losi 8ight XTE that I bought about 4.5 months ago. Today I wanted to run through some of the things that I've liked about it and some of the things I haven't. Take a look. So I made an initial video about this, reviewing it and testing it on the track. Please take a look at that video if you haven't already. I'll put a link here and also in the description below. But within that video, I talked about how this is really a good truck for someone who is not a racer or maybe hasn't done much track driving. It's a good example of what I am. Mostly do bashing videos. If you've subscribed, you would know they're mostly 8 scale jumps and reviews of bashers. So this was a little bit new territory for me. But given that it was a ready-to-run version, it was so much easier. I didn't have to build the car from a kit, and this just really comes together as a nice truck. So let me tell you some of the things that are good about it. So you'll notice here that it's got a spektrum system, but not the normal spektrum system that I'm used to running on Creightons and other Arrma vehicles. This has got a censored system in it. It's got a 130 amp ESC that's sensed, as well as a 2250 kV censored motor. And this is really one of the pros of this truck. It's incredibly smooth on the power delivery given that system. It's also got a lot of power, and given how light the truck is, 130 amps is just fine. Another pro of this truck is just the handling. It really handles the track well. And for a beginner like me to racing or to track driving, it made it really easy. You can see in some of the footage here that I'm able to slide the truck around and really navigate the corners pretty easily. I'm able to clear some pretty big jumps as well. Of course, I've got a lot of experience with RC driving, but on the racetrack it's quite a bit different. So I really think I got the hang of this pretty well. And was able to throw the truck around and have fun with it without worrying too much about technique. Another benefit is just that it looks cool. I really like the neon colors that they use. It's got a sleek kind of body design that's pretty aggressive, and you know, it's just got a cool look to it. I really like it. It looks fast and aggressive. I've seen some people put basher tires on this and even send it bashing with some beefed up parts, and these things really look cool with basher tires on them. So value is another benefit to this truck. It retails for $679, and you can get it on horizonhobby and some other sites. And that compares to the TLR version of this, which is pretty much the same truck but with better components, and it's a kit truck. And that you can get for $779. So it's $100 more for the kit. And while this has a little bit cheaper parts on it, it's still a really sturdy truck for what you get. And to me, the time saving of not having to put the whole thing together is worth the $100. So although these tires look really cool with this neon green color, and that they come pre-glued, which is a perk, they actually have a really hard compound on the rubber that would cause it to slide around quite a bit on the tracks near me, at least. So I ended up needing to get some tires like this, these sweeps with much softer rubber that grips a lot better. So that may be the case for you as well. The TLR has many improved parts on it, including better shock towers, an improved chassis, aluminum suspension mounts, whereas these are plastic, and some other parts as well. The chassis, however, is the biggest improvement that I think that would be something I would probably upgrade next. It's not quite that rigid, so much so that I actually ended up snapping this drive shaft in half on the rear. And I think that's because of how flexible the chassis is. It bent so much that it actually snapped that drive shaft. So if I upgrade next, I think I'll get the improved TLR version of that chassis just to give it more rigidity across. Everything else though seems to hold up quite well. I haven't bent or broken any shock towers. The chassis is still straight. So it's more kind of gradual improvement, but not huge necessity at this point. And this has been the case for some pretty hard track driving. It's taken some abuse, and I've been impressed with what's held up. So another problem that I have run into with this is the access to the differentials. I did one video where I explained how to get into the front differential, and after that video I did the center and the rear, and I found that the rear especially was quite difficult to get into. It requires you to take off many parts in order to lift the top of the differential cover straight up, as opposed to many which you can take off the back half. And then once I got in it, I realized what the problem was with that I was running into. The vehicle was running slow. I thought maybe the bearings were off, and then I figured maybe something was up with the diffs. Turns out the rear differential housing had dirt and grease all packed in there. So somehow it had gotten into the bulkhead, not into the differential itself, but into the bulkhead, and was just covered thick dirt and grease. So I cleaned that out, and now it runs much smoother. So that was definitely the problem. So something's up with that. I'm not sure how the dirt got in, but I made sure to seal it up nice and tight, and we'll see if in the long run this becomes a recurring problem or not. So to me, there's one aspect of this truck though that stands out above all as the biggest downside, and that is the design of this battery tray. So the design of this battery tray is bad for two reasons. One is that it comes extremely long. I have three 4S batteries here. This truck goes only to 4S. So they're all about the same length. But let me show you how long they go in this tray. They go to there. This tray came with this piece out, so there would have been this much slop in there. I guess some people like to move the batteries back or move them forward to change the weight distribution, but to me that just seems silly. So I put this block in here, a foam block, which keeps the battery still and puts it in the tray securely like I'm used to with other trucks. I just found it odd that they made this battery tray so much longer than it needed to be. It's almost half another battery length. So I actually ended up just taking off this last battery strap since it's pointless to have in there. Speaking of straps, this is another aspect of the tray that is wrong, in my opinion. So these straps are poorly designed, especially in how they fit into this battery tray. Because the strap slots are on the side here, it requires more distance for the strap itself to be in the tray. Now that's whether it goes down like this or it goes underneath the battery. Either way though, the strap isn't long enough. The only one I could find for it to fit of the batteries I have are these premium series ones. So you could put them underneath, I suppose, like this. The most narrow battery I have, that's all the strap can wrap around, this little piece. Okay. So initially I thought, okay, these straps are just not long enough. Maybe I need to get longer straps. And I went to my local hobby shop and we really couldn't find straps that were long enough, at least that they had in stock. So I also ended up buying the CNHL battery that's much bigger and it's got a much higher voltage and C rating. Well, there's no way I could fit this. They don't even touch the buckle. So as you can see, there's many pros to this truck and there's a few frustrating cons. But stay tuned to the next video where I do a modification to the battery tray to make it much easier to fit those batteries. Take care.